The Great Shift. These countries will be humanity's last safe havens. Predictions for 2025. Can you feel it? That subtle tremble beneath the noise of headlines, traffic, and endless scrolling. It's not panic, and it's not hope either. It's a signal, quiet warning, pulsing through the currents of our collapsing systems and awakening something ancient in the human spirit. Right now, as borders tighten and the world shifts in ways we never imagined, a silent migration is beginning not just of people, but of purpose. Some call it the Great Shift. A movement not only across continents, but deep within the collective heart of humanity. Monks whispered of it. Visionaries foresaw it. And now, we stand on its edge. Before we dive into the countries predicted to be humanity's last true sanctuaries, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe if you're ready to look beyond the surface. Join us as we trace the threads of prophecy, data, and soul-searching insight, and let us know in the comments, where would you go if the world no longer felt like home? Number 1. Core belief and prophetic tradition. Throughout the long sweep of human history, there have always been individuals whose insights echoed far beyond their lifetimes, not because they made noise, but because they tuned into something deeper, something timeless. Think of figures like Nostradamus, whose riddles seemed to hint at future upheaval, or Edgar Cayce, who entered trances and spoke of changes still unfolding today. The blind mystic Baba Vanga, the encoded legends of indigenous peoples, and countless other spiritual traditions all whisper the same fundamental truth. The world we live in is not fixed or forever. It's a transient stating illusion of stability that can dissolve in a moment. This isn't meant to scare us, but to awaken us to the reality that transformation is part of life's rhythm. As we step into the unfolding energies of 2025, many of the warnings that once seemed cryptic now feel painfully clear. We see nature responding in waves of intensity, earthquakes ripping through familiar landscapes, wildfires devouring entire regions in hours, oceans pushing against coastlines with growing force. Our societies, too, tremble under the weight of imbalance economically, politically, and spiritually. But if we look carefully, we'll notice a remarkable pattern that offers a thread of hope. Certain countries appear more stable, less affected by these extreme shifts. It's as if they're shielded not by chance, but perhaps by purpose. What the ancient prophecies hint at, and what today's patterns quietly affirm, is that there are places on this earth that may serve as sanctuaries, not utopias, but spaces where something deeper is preserved. These safe havens aren't just chosen by climate or geography, but by the energy they hold, the consciousness of their people, the strength of their land's memory, and perhaps even their karmic balance. As we navigate the Great Shift, it becomes vital not just to ask where is safe, but why those places remain untouched. Could it be that their cultures still value harmony over greed, or that their spiritual foundations are rooted in respect for life? Perhaps it's in these places that a new kind of community will form, that lives not by dominating the earth, but by aligning with it. For those of us watching this shift unfold, the message is not only to find safe ground, but to become Ito, embody peace, clarity, and resilience no matter where we are. Number 2. Countries seen as safe havens. 1. New Zealand. Let's talk about a place that, for many people, holds a special kind of promise for the future, a small green land tucked far away from the chaos of the world's power centers. That place is New Zealand. When we think of safety, resilience, and harmony with nature, this country often comes to mind. It's not just because of its breathtaking landscapes or its clean air and water, but because of something deeper, something almost spiritual. Nestled in the southern hemisphere, far from global conflicts and economic rivalries, New Zealand is more than just a dot on the map. Some even see it as a kind of sanctuary, a modern-day ark where people might gather during a time of global upheaval, what some are beginning to call the Great Shift. And it's not just a poetic idea. This country's unique geography offers real-world advantages. Its rich volcanic soil makes it capable of supporting its own people through agriculture. Its mountainous backbone offers natural protection, and its sheer distance from global flashpoints gives it a sense of calm that many are starting to seek. But why does New Zealand hold such a mythical place in the hearts of those searching for a new beginning? One reason is tied to prophecy. According to accounts attributed to Baba Vanga, a land far from the fires will become a gathering place for those who remember, a reference perhaps to those who seek wisdom, peace, and the preservation of ancient values. Could this be New Zealand? For some, the answer feels deeply personal. Others point to the idea of ley lines, invisible energy pathways that some believe crisscross the earth. The theory goes that powerful intersections of these lines can enhance spiritual energy, making certain places feel more vibrant, more alive. The South Island of New Zealand is thought by some to sit on such a crossroads, making it not just a safe haven, but a spiritual one. Whether or not you believe in ley lines or prophecy, it's hard to ignore the growing sense that places like New Zealand represent more than just physical shelter. They symbolize a longing for balance, for community, and for a way of life that honors both the earth and the wisdom of the past. So, what does this mean for you? Have you ever wondered where you'd go if the world became too loud, too fast, too divided? Would you be drawn to a place not just for its beauty, but for its spirit? Maybe you're not planning to relocate to the South Pacific anytime soon, but that's not really the point. The deeper lesson here is to start thinking about where your own refuge lies physically, emotionally, spiritually. What values would you want to protect? What kind of energy do you want to surround yourself with? The idea of a safe haven is as much about inner peace as it is about physical distance. As we look ahead to uncertain times, perhaps the greatest refuge we can build is a community rooted in kindness, wisdom, and purpose. New Zealand may be one version of that sanctuary, but it also invites us to ask, how can we begin to create that haven wherever we are, starting today? 2. Bhutan. Let's journey now to the eastern Himalayas, where a small kingdom quietly lives in harmony with its mountains, its traditions, and its values. Bhutan. Unlike most countries shaped by political ambition or economic growth, Bhutan has chosen a different path, one rooted not in GDP, but in gross national happiness. That's not just a slogan, it's a way of life, and perhaps even a blueprint for what the future of humanity could look like. Have you ever asked yourself what really makes a nation thrive? Is it wealth and technology, or is it well-being, contentment, and spiritual purpose? Bhutan seems to answer that question with calm certainty. Tucked away between India and China, its remoteness is often seen as a limitation, but in times of global instability, that very seclusion may become its greatest strength. While the world rushes forward, often disconnected from nature and inner peace, Bhutan moves slowly, deliberately, like a living monastery, protecting not just its people, but a deeper kind of wisdom that many have forgotten. Some ancient Tibetan prophecies speak of a hidden valley, a sanctuary untouched by the world's chaos, modern-day Shambhala. Though few know of it outside esoteric Buddhist teachings, many believe Bhutan could be that place. Picture a kingdom where the mountains act as natural guardians, where the traditions of compassion, mindfulness, and simplicity are not only preserved, but celebrated. There's a saying among those who study these prophecies: the dragon still guards the heart of the world, and for many spiritual seekers, that dragon is Bhutan. Could it be that places like Bhutan aren't just safe in the physical sense, but spiritually protected as well? And if so, what can we learn from a place that chooses joy over power and purpose over speed? In a time when so many are searching for escape, for security, for something real, Bhutan offers not just shelter, but direction. It invites us to rethink our idea of progress and to reconnect with values that are often overshadowed by modern life. If you've made it this far, you're already ahead, thinking about the future and where humanity's safest paths may lie. Comment below with Safe Haven 2025 to show you're committed to understanding and preparing for the world ahead. Don't click away just yet, there's still so much insight to uncover. Stay with us to the end to find out which countries could be your sanctuary in the shifting tides of tomorrow. 3. Canada. Let me take you on a journey not just across geography, but through time and transformation, to a land many are beginning to see not merely as a country, but as a potential sanctuary in uncertain times. Canada. You might be wondering, why Canada? What makes this nation, nestled in the global north, stand out amid growing climate instability and global upheaval? The answer lies in a blend of ancient prophecy, modern science, and the human spirit's enduring quest for harmony. While it's true that some southern parts of Canada may face challenges from internal tensions or environmental shifts, look further north and inward into its vast territories and untouched wilderness, and you'll find what many experts and spiritual thinkers alike describe as a hidden refuge. Decades ago, the mystic Edgar Cayce alluded to a mysterious future where lands in the north would bloom where once there was snow. At the time, this sounded poetic or even impossible, but today, as climate zones shift and the Arctic thaws, his words resonate differently. What if he wasn't warning us, but preparing us? With its immense supply of fresh water, low population density, and expansive, fertile land opening up due to warming climates, Canada emerges not just as a place of survival but a blank canvas for renewal. Imagine this: a country where communities might rise grounded in mindfulness, where cooperation replaces competition, and where we're not just escaping collapse, but creating the conditions for peace. The Buddha once said, "Just as a candle cannot burn without fire, men cannot live without a spiritual life." Could it be that Canada, in its quiet, resilient nature, is offering us both physical safety and space for that spiritual fire to grow? Think about it. What would it mean to live in a place not just habitable but healing? A refuge not just from war or disaster, but from disconnection, division, and the weariness of modern chaos. As you reflect, ask yourself, if given the opportunity to build a wiser world, would you know where to begin? And perhaps more importantly, would you be ready? 4. Iceland. Let's take a journey to a land that feels almost otherworldly, a place where fire meets ice, where the earth speaks through geysers and steam, and where ancient energies seem to hum beneath your feet. I'm talking about Iceland. Rising quietly from the cold waters of the North Atlantic, Iceland may not be the first country that comes to mind when you think about humanity's last safe havens, but maybe it should be. What makes Iceland so unique, and why are more people turning their eyes toward this isolated island in times of global uncertainty? For one, Iceland is powered almost entirely by geothermal and hydroelectric energy, clean, renewable, and incredibly stable. In a world where resources are strained and infrastructure is under threat, Iceland stands as a rare example of resilience. Its fresh water is abundant, its food systems increasingly self-sufficient, and its society built on cooperation and trust. You might not see Iceland in the daily news cycle, and that's part of its charm. This is a place that thrives quietly, under the radar, but with a deep-rooted strength that's hard to ignore. Now, let's explore a deeper layer beyond politics. beyond practicality. In spiritual and esoteric traditions, Iceland is said to lie at a convergence of planetary energies, a sacred point where the veil between physical and spiritual worlds feels thinner. The land itself breathes, groans, and whispers through volcanic eruptions and boiling springs, as if the earth is alive and speaking directly to those who listen. Edgar Cayce, the famous mystic, once suggested that northern lands would become vital after polar shifts and dramatic climate changes. Could Iceland be one of those lands? With its elevated terrain, its distance from population centers, and its culture of self-reliance, it very well could be. Have you ever felt drawn to a place not just for its beauty, but because it resonates with something deeper in you, something you can't quite explain? Maybe you're not alone. Iceland is more than just a land of glaciers and lava. It's a symbol of what it means to survive with grace, to live in harmony with nature, and to preserve ancient wisdom in the face of modern uncertainty. So the question is, if the world were to shift tomorrow, would you be ready to seek not just safety, but meaning? And more importantly, how can you begin to cultivate that sense of inner stability and connection no matter where you are right now? Because perhaps the real message of places like Iceland isn't just where we might go, but who we must become. 5. Uruguay. As we shift our focus to South America, one nation quietly stands out not because it demands attention, but precisely because it doesn't. Uruguay, nestled between the larger, more turbulent countries of Argentina and Brazil, has long gone unnoticed on the global stage, yet it may hold a far greater significance than most people realize. Often described by spiritual researchers and off-grid thinkers as a zone of peace, Uruguay is not just admired for its stable governance or fertile land, but for something deeper in energy, a calm resonance that seems to resist the chaos affecting so much of the modern world. While its neighbors have been caught in cycles of economic uncertainty, social unrest, and environmental strain, Uruguay maintains a quiet equilibrium that feels almost intentional, like a place set aside for a special purpose. What is it about Uruguay that gives it this enduring balance? It might be its small population that fosters community cohesion, or its robust agricultural system that offers true self-reliance in a time when food security is becoming more important than ever. Or perhaps it's the mindset of its people, practical, peace-seeking, and less drawn to the extremes of political division that are so common elsewhere. There are those who believe that in the aftermath of great global shifts, be they economic, environmental, or spiritual, Uruguay will emerge as a kind of sanctuary, a fertile ground where humanity can plant the seeds of a more conscious, grounded future. Have you ever considered what it would mean to live not just somewhere safe, but somewhere in harmony with your values? This isn't just about relocating physically, but about aligning your life with environments both outer and inner that support peace, balance, and resilience. In a world full of noise and instability, places like Uruguay remind us that simplicity and steadiness are powerful. So perhaps the real question is, are we paying enough attention to the quiet places? Are we cultivating peace within ourselves the way some countries, like Uruguay, seem to do naturally? Because whether or not you ever set foot on Uruguayan soil, its example offers a valuable lesson when everything else sways. There is wisdom in standing still, in choosing calm, and in building a life that doesn't just survive change, but thrives through it. Still with us. That means you understand how important it is to stay informed and prepared. Type "My Safe Future" in the comments to mark your commitment to navigating the changes ahead with wisdom. There's more to reveal. Don't miss the final insights that could guide your next move. 6. Scandinavia, Norway, Sweden, Finland. Now let us turn our gaze to Scandinavia, Norway, Sweden, and Finland, regions often cloaked in long winters and deeper wisdom. where myth and nature walk hand in hand. These are not just lands of fjords and forests, but places that have endured countless ages of cold, challenge, and quiet contemplation, developing a unique strength, the kind that isn't loud or boastful, but deeply rooted in community and inner endurance. In Norse mythology, there is the tale of Ragnarok, the great ending, but also the hopeful rebirth that follows an image that feels especially powerful today as the world faces a convergence of crises. Scandinavia, rich in natural resources like clean water and abundant forests, offers more than just physical security. It holds a cultural memory of resilience, of facing prolonged darkness and coming through it together. And it is this communal integrity, this ability to place the needs of the many over the desires of the few, that makes it such a compelling candidate as one of humanity's last safe havens. As the old structures begin to tremble under the weight of imbalance, voices from both ancient prophecy and modern spiritual intuition point to these northern lands as sanctuaries, places where the chaos of the world slows down just enough for reflection, renewal, and responsible innovation to take root. There are whispers in various European esoteric traditions that these lands of the Midnight Sunday will be the last to fall and the first to rise, and in that poetic truth lies a call that perhaps the new world isn't being born in the flames of revolution, but in the quiet, disciplined blending of intuition with technology, of old wisdom with forward-looking science. Sweden, in particular, is often seen in these visions as the cradle of a new spiritual science, one that doesn't separate the mind from the heart or the material from the sacred. As the Buddha once said, "In the sky, there is no distinction of east and west. People create distinctions out of their own minds and then believe them to be true." Could it be that in these serene and stoic lands, humanity may rediscover how to erase these false lines and live not just safely, but wisely? The question for each of us then becomes, are we willing to learn from the quiet? Are we ready to rebuild from stillness rather than noise? And in doing so, might we not just survive, but create something more meaningful for generations to come? 7. Beyond borders, symbolic regions, and larger nations. As we explore the final chapter in this journey of the Great Shift, these countries will be humanity's last safe havens. Predictions for 2025. We arrive at a space that stretches far beyond traditional borders into regions, civilizations, and collective human choices that don't fit neatly within the confines of any one nation. This part isn't about small, remote refuges. It's about the great powers that shape our global consciousness, places like America, China, and India, and what their futures might hold, not just physically, but spiritually and symbolically. Let's begin with America. In the visions of Edgar Cayce and others who've dared to peer into what lies ahead, America is not fated to fall, but rather placed under a profound test. This is not the doom and gloom story you often hear in headlines. It's a story about potential, about a nation standing at a moral and spiritual crossroads. According to these insights, America's future depends not on political swings or market movements, but on the inner choices of its people, on whether we choose compassion over division, wisdom over greed, and healing over hatred. Some prophetic visions paint images of dramatic earth changes, like the West Coast shifting or Great Lakes appearing where flatlands once stretched. But just as important are the quiet revolutions, the possibility of spiritual awakenings rising not from wealth or privilege, but from overlooked corners of society, the deserts of Arizona, or inner cities where people have long struggled yet still find strength, hope, and dignity. Could it be that the rebirth of a nation begins not in its centers of power, but in the places most ignored? Now, let's turn our attention to China, often symbolized as the sleeping dragon. In many interpretations, It's not destruction that defines China's path, but transformation, one that may come only after an internal unraveling, a necessary collapse of outdated structures that clears the way for a new kind of leadership. But this isn't about politics. It's about energy, consciousness, and soul. The message here is that China's greatest contribution to the future might not be in trade or technology, but in spiritual guidance. Once it remembers the harmony that once lay at the core of its traditions. Lao Tzu once said, "Knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power." So we ask, will China awaken not just as a global force, but as a teacher of balance, patience, and inner stillness? And then there is India, land already soaked in ancient light, but now caught in the storm of modern industry, rapid growth, and deepening inequality. India, according to some intuitive visions, holds a fragile key. It doesn't need to search for wisdom. It already has it in its roots. The risk lies in forgetting, in letting the noise of modern life drown out the soul of its civilization. But there is still time to remember. If India can find a way to ground its explosive growth in compassion, truth, and its spiritual DNA, it might not only survive the shift but lead others through it. The Buddha, born in this region, reminded us, "You yourself must strive." The Buddhas only point the way. So what if the lesson isn't that nations will save us, but that they will mirror use, and their fate will reflect our choices, our awareness, our humanity? So here's where we come full circle. These symbolic regions, America, China, India, and represent escape routes. They represent turning points. Their stories remind us that the great shift is not just about moving to safer places, but about becoming safer people, more aware, more grounded, more connected. What future are we creating through the values we live, the conversations we have, the respect we show to others? The safe haven might not be a place on a map. It might be the mindset we carry, the community we build, and the consciousness we raise. So ask yourself, as you listen to this, in your life, in your actions, in your heart, are you preparing to run from the storm or helping to calm it? 8. Sacred natural zones. And now, we arrive at one of the most mysterious and deeply meaningful parts of our journey, the sacred natural zones. These are not countries, not cities, not regions marked by lines on a map or ruled by governments. Instead, they are places whispered about in prophecy and remembered in ancestral memory. The Andes of South America, the Alps of Europe, the remote heart of the Australian outback, and other highlands, hidden valleys and desert sanctuaries scattered across the world. What makes these places different? Why do so many ancient traditions and spiritual visions point to them not just as places of refuge, but as points of connection between what was and what might come? The answer isn't about political stability or economic advantage. It's something deeper, something almost timeless. These are zones where the Earth's natural energy remains pure, where the veil between the physical and the spiritual seems thinner, and where people are drawn not by fear, but by a feeling, a resonance, a knowing that this place holds something sacred. In Buddhist thought, there is the concept of pure lands, not distant heavens, but states of being and awareness that can arise in places aligned with compassion, wisdom, and clarity. Could these natural sanctuaries be the reflections of such pure lands on Earth? Could they be calling us not just to escape, but to awaken? As the Dalai Lama once said, "The Earth is not just our environment. The Earth is our mother." And perhaps these sacred zones are her heartbeat, the places where she still speaks clearly to those who are willing to listen. Think for a moment, have you ever stood in a place of wild beauty and felt completely still, yet completely alive? That's the resonance these prophecies speak of. They suggest that as the world faces upheaval, some will be drawn not to where life is easiest, but where it is truest. These places, unspoiled and often hard to reach, won't offer luxury or comfort. But they may offer something even more vital: connection, clarity, and a path to rebuild from the inside out. So I ask you, what does it mean to feel at home? Is it about safety alone, or something deeper? As we move forward in these uncertain times, perhaps the real sanctuary lies not only in these sacred zones, but in how we align our hearts with the same peace and purpose they represent. Number 3. The real sanctuary begins within. As we reach the third and most profound insight in this unfolding journey of understanding, let's take a moment not just to observe the world's changes, but to turn inward, where the real shift begins. While many are captivated by external predictions of shifting powers, of safe countries, of where to go when everything falls apart, the deeper truth invites us into a quieter, more intimate realization. The earth is undeniably changing, systems are under strain, and uncertainty seems to echo louder with each passing day. But in the midst of this rising noise, there is a place untouched by chaos, a place not found on any map but within your own being. That is where the real sanctuary begins, not in fleeing, but in becoming. Too often, people direct their energy towards searching, looking for the next safe country, the most stable government, the most remote and peaceful corner of the world. But real safety, real refuge, is not about relocating our bodies, it's about anchoring our minds. It's not about hiding from the storm, but learning to be the eye of it. This is where inner work becomes more than just a spiritual ideal. It becomes a survival skill, a guiding light in turbulent times. When we start to embody resilience, cultivate emotional clarity, and choose intentional stillness, we transform from being passive observers of life to becoming rooted participants in it. Like a tree that bends with the wind yet never breaks, we too can find strength not in rigidity, but in mindful presence. The Buddha's words echo louder than ever today: peace comes from within, do not seek it without. This teaching isn't just poetic, it's practical. No government, no border, no external circumstance can ever guarantee permanent peace. Even the safest countries can change overnight, but the peace you build within, that is yours. That travels with you. That holds steady no matter where you are. It's important to realize that the countries often named as safe havens in global predictions, places like Bhutan, New Zealand, or Iceland, aren't just about landscapes or low crime rates. They reflect a deeper commitment to harmony, to values that place well-being and mindfulness above material gain. And those values aren't limited to geography. They can be practiced in your home, your relationships, and your daily choices, right here, right now. So let this be a loving call to action. Build your sanctuary with each breath you take, each word you speak, and each intention you set. Don't wait for the world to calm down, choose to be calm within it. Start small. Begin your mornings with silence, eat with gratitude, speak with kindness, simplify your needs, listen more, love fully. These are not grand gestures, but they are revolutionary in a world spinning with distraction and fear. In this way, you become a beacon. You become a living example of peace. Others will feel it not because you preach it, but because you are it. And when others feel safe in your presence, not through your control or certainty, but through your compassion and stillness, you've already become a safe haven for the world. This is the heart of the journey, not just to find refuge, but to become it. To walk as a source of warmth in a cold time, to live the values of the future now, and to remember that even in the darkest hour, the light within you can still shine. As the timeless teaching reminds us, do no harm, do good, purify the mind. This isn't just advice, it is the way forward. It is the foundation of real security. It is the quiet, powerful truth that the real shift begins with you. And so, dear friends, as we stand at the edge of this great shift, remember true sanctuary begins not just with finding the right place, but with becoming the right presence. Whether it's the peace of Bhutan, the quiet strength of Iceland, or the open skies of Canada, the real question is, what kind of world are we helping to create, starting from within? If this message resonated with you, please like this video, share it with those who are searching for clarity, and subscribe to The Journey of Wisdom. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our upcoming explorations into the deeper truths of life, change, and spiritual resilience. Together, let's walk gently, live mindfully, and continue this journey of wisdom one step, one breath, one insight at a time. Until next time, may you be safe, may you be peaceful, may you be free,